Leave. Only family is allowed here. My father said those words to me at my own sister's wedding. I had spent 18 hours on a plane to be there. I was standing on a gravel path outside a beautiful wedding venue, still holding my carry-on suitcase while soft violin music drifted through the open doors behind him. Guests laughed inside. Champagne glasses clinked. White lights glowed through the windows. And my father stood in front of the entrance like I was a stranger. My mother stood 2 steps behind him and said absolutely nothing. 3 days later, she called me about a $38,000 wedding bill. A bill with my name on it. That was the moment everything changed. My name is Athena Sinclair. I'm 34 years old. I live in London and work in compliance consulting. I read contracts for a living. I look for missing details, hidden risks, and the tiny lies people hope nobody notices. My family forgot exactly what I do. And they made the mistake of thinking I wouldn't notice what they had done. Growing up in the Sinclair house always felt uneven. There were 2 versions of childhood happening under the same roof. There was Paige's version. My younger sister got birthday parties, praise, attention, and support. When she turned 16, my father bought her a used Honda Civic and parked it in the driveway with a giant red bow. He called her my little star in front of everybody. Then there was my version. I filled out my own college applications at the public library because nobody reminded me deadlines were coming. I worked tutoring jobs after school to save money. Nobody helped me move into college. Nobody drove me there. I learned early that if I wanted something done, I had to do it myself. My father, Gerald Sinclair, owned a small building supply store in Charlotte. He talked about it like it was a huge business empire. In reality, it was a small building with a leaking roof and a few workers who never stayed long. My mother, Donna, spent most of her life agreeing with whatever my father said. Keeping the peace in our house usually meant pushing problems toward me because I was the easier child to disappoint. Paige was different. Pretty. Funny. Effortlessly charming. She honestly believed the world would always make space for her. And most of the time, it did. I left home at 18 with a partial scholarship and money I had saved myself. Years later, I moved to London for work. I built a life there from nothing. A small flat in Canary Wharf. Quiet mornings. Long workdays. A space that belonged entirely to me. I didn't leave home. Home left me first. Then one Tuesday afternoon in September, a wedding invitation arrived. Heavy cream envelope. Gold lettering. Expensive paper. Someone had spent real money on it. Inside was an invitation to the wedding of Paige Sinclair and Tyler Redmond at the Whitmore Estate in Charlotte. I searched the venue online. Crystal chandeliers. Perfect gardens. Massive ballroom. A place that cost more money than my parents normally spent in years. That immediately confused me. But what really stopped me was the handwritten note tucked inside. It wouldn't be complete without you. Please come. P. I stared at those words for a long time. For 7 years, my family barely contacted me unless they needed something. Birthdays were usually quick texts. Christmas was sometimes a group message. But now Paige wanted me there. Or at least that's what I believed. So I booked the flight. London to Charlotte. 18 hours. A ridiculous amount of money for economy seats in December. I told myself I wasn't going because everything was forgiven. I went because part of me still hoped things could be different. Rachel Torres, my closest friend from college, texted me after I told her. "You're actually going?" I should have listened to the way she said it. When I landed in Charlotte, everything felt familiar and strange at the same time. The southern accents. The humid winter air. The smell of airport coffee and fast food. I picked up my rental car and drove to a hotel near the university. I stopped staying with my parents years ago. Nobody questioned it anymore. That night, I called Paige. "Hey," she answered quickly. You made it. Anything I should know about tomorrow? I asked. Just be there by 2. Ceremony starts at 3. Her voice sounded clipped and nervous. Like someone standing in a crowded room trying not to say too much. I have to go, she said quickly. Wedding stuff. Then she hung up. I called my mother next. The first thing she said was, "Oh. You actually came?" Not, "I'm happy you're here." Not, "I missed you." Just surprised that I showed up. I sat on the edge of the hotel bed after the call ended and stared at the wall. Something felt wrong. The next afternoon, I dressed carefully. Navy dress. Pearl earrings. Low heels. Simple. Elegant. The Whitmore estate looked beautiful. White lights wrapped around trees. Music floated through the air. Guests stood near fountains laughing together. For one tiny second, I thought maybe things really had changed. Then I saw my father standing outside the entrance. Not greeting guests. Waiting. For me. "Athena," he said as I walked closer. "You need to leave." I stopped. "Excuse me?" "Only family is allowed." I held up the invitation. I was invited. That was a mistake. His voice stayed flat. "You shouldn't have come." Through the glass doors behind him, I could see Paige in her wedding dress. Laughing with bridesmaids. My mother stood nearby watching us. She didn't step outside. She didn't defend me. "Dad," I whispered, "don't do this." "The guests are inside," he snapped. "Walk away." I looked at him for a long moment. Then I turned around. I walked back across the gravel. Pulled my suitcase behind me. Got into my rental car. Locked the doors. And finally cried. Not because I missed the wedding. Because I had let myself hope. That night, I sat in my hotel room still wearing the navy dress. The TV played silently in the background. I called Rachel. "They did what?" she shouted. I told her everything. The invitation. My father blocking the entrance. My mother watching silently. Paige inside laughing while I stood outside holding an invitation nobody honored. Rachel became quiet. "Athena," she finally said, "people don't do something this extreme without a reason." "You don't know my family." "No," she replied slowly. "I think I do. Something else is going on." I almost flew home the next morning. I even opened the airline website. I stared at an earlier flight back to London for nearly 10 minutes. But I didn't book it. 3 days passed. Nobody called. Nobody apologized. I worked remotely from my hotel room during the day and tried not to think about the wedding at night. Then I made the mistake of opening Instagram. Paige had posted dozens of wedding photos. The flowers. The cake. The dancing. The sunset pictures. The honeymoon countdown. There wasn't a single photo of me. Not one mention that I had even been there. Then my mother posted a collage. Old family photos. Baby pictures of Paige. And one old photo of me and Paige sitting on the porch as little girls. The caption said, "So proud of both my girls." I stared at the word both for a long time. If I was really one of her girls, why was I left outside? The next morning, my mother finally called. But not to apologize. "We need to discuss the bill," she said coldly. "What bill?" "The venue. It's $38,000. I frowned. "Okay. How are you planning to pay it?" The room suddenly felt colder. Why would I pay for Paige's wedding? "You signed the contract." My heart stopped. "What?" "You're the guarantor," she said. Then my father grabbed the phone. "Don't play dumb, Athena. Your name is on the paperwork." I stood slowly. "I never signed anything." "Then who did?" he snapped. I don't know, I said carefully. But it wasn't me. He hung up. I sat frozen on the hotel bed. Then something inside me shifted. I stopped feeling hurt. And started paying attention. I called the Whitmore estate immediately. A woman named Karen answered. I explained everything carefully. My name is Athena Sinclair, I said calmly. I understand I'm listed as guarantor for the Sinclair wedding. But I never signed that agreement. Silence. Then Karen spoke carefully. Miss Sinclair, if that's true, this is extremely serious. I know. I requested a copy of the contract. Then I called Rachel. It's real, I told her. She didn't panic. She became focused. Okay, she said. Now we work. The family pressure started almost immediately. My Aunt Caroline called first. Honey, your mother is devastated, she said gently. She says you promised to help pay. I never promised anything. Then came emails. Texts. Voicemails. Family first. Don't destroy your parents over money. You make good money. Just pay it. 22 relatives repeating the same story. That I had agreed to help. That I was breaking a promise. That I was selfish. I saved every message. Every voicemail. Every screenshot. In compliance work, documentation matters. Especially when someone else is rewriting your story. Then Cousin Dylan texted me. Something feels off, he wrote. I don't think they're telling the whole truth. Out of 22 people, he was the only one who questioned anything. Then Paige called. You need to just pay the bill, she said. I laughed once. You kicked me out of your wedding. That was Dad's decision. But you let it happen. Silence. Then she sighed. Look, Dad handled the contract months ago. It's done. Just pay it and move on. I never signed anything. You can afford it, she snapped. I leaned back slowly. Did you know Dad used my name? 5 long seconds passed. Then she said quietly, it doesn't matter. That told me everything. She knew. My father called again the next day. This time he tried threats. I talked to a guy who knows real estate law, he said proudly. The contract is legally binding. Did your buddy explain what happens if the signature was forged? I asked. Silence. Then anger. You think you're smarter than everybody because you live in London. No, I said calmly. I just know what forgery means. Another silence. That silence mattered. Because innocent people deny accusations immediately. Guilty people pause first. Then my mother called alone. At first, she sounded emotional. Then she accidentally told the truth. We had no choice, she cried. The venue needed a guarantor. Our credit was ruined. I sat up straighter. So you used my information? We had your social security number and tax papers from your old room. My chest tightened. You forged my signature. We didn't steal anything, she snapped suddenly. You're our daughter. There it was. The confession. A few days later, Dylan warned me about a family brunch. My mother was gathering everyone together. Apparently the goal was to help Athena see reason. Rachel laughed when I told her. They think they're staging an intervention, she said. What if they are? Then let them. Sunday morning, the contract finally arrived in my email. I opened the PDF slowly. There it was. The guarantor agreement. My name typed neatly across the page. And below it, a signature. Athena Sinclair. But not my handwriting. Someone had tried to copy it. The loops looked wrong. The slant was wrong. The pressure was wrong. I opened my passport beside the contract. My real signature sat there clearly. The two signatures didn't match. Not even close. That's not my signature, I whispered. Rachel came to the hotel immediately. We sat together at the small desk reviewing everything. That's textbook forgery, she said. I wrote a formal letter to the venue's legal department. I explained everything. Attached my passport signature. Requested an investigation. Rachel added one final sentence. Please preserve the original document for forensic analysis. Then we waited. A day later, the venue replied. They were officially investigating the signature. And they had suspended all collection efforts against me. Rachel smiled when she read the email. They already believe you. Then Karen, the event coordinator, sent another message privately. She remembered who dropped off the contract. An older gentleman, she wrote. He signed the paperwork in person at the front desk. My father. My father walked into that venue and signed my name himself. Like my identity belonged to him. Sunday finally arrived. The brunch. The family meeting. The public pressure campaign. I dressed carefully. White blouse. Navy blazer. Professional. Controlled. The folder sat beside me in the car. Contract copy. Passport. Venue letters. Everything perfectly organized. When I walked into Aunt Caroline's house, 15 people looked up at once. My father sat at the head of the table. My mother beside him. Paige next to Tyler. There wasn't even a chair for me. Dylan quietly stood up and got one from the kitchen. Then my father began. We're here because Athena made a commitment and refuses to honor it. My mother dabbed fake tears from her eyes. We didn't want this to become public. Paige looked down sadly. I just wanted my sister at my wedding. The performance was impressive. Everyone started speaking. Athena, just do the right thing. Your parents could lose their home. You make enough money. Nobody asked if the story was true. They simply accepted it. But then I noticed Tyler. He looked confused. What contract? He whispered to Paige. She quietly replied, I'll explain later. That was interesting. He didn't know. My father finally looked at me confidently. She can't defend herself because she knows she signed it. That's when I stood. The room became silent. I placed the contract in the center of the table. This is the guarantor agreement everyone keeps talking about, I said. Then I placed my passport beside it. And this is my real signature. People leaned forward. Aunt Caroline picked up the papers first. Then Uncle Roger. Then even Cousin Beth finally stopped looking at her phone. The difference was obvious. These signatures don't match, I said calmly. The Whitmore estate is officially investigating forgery. I placed the legal letter beside the contract. My father's face turned gray. That's ridiculous, he said weakly. You probably signed electronically. No, I said. The venue coordinator confirmed an older gentleman signed the paperwork in person. Silence filled the room. Heavy silence. Then Aunt Caroline slowly looked at my father. Gerald, did you forge her signature? He opened his mouth. Closed it. Finally he whispered, we had no choice. Uncle Roger stood immediately. You committed fraud? My mother started crying. We were desperate. Then Tyler turned toward Paige. You knew? She grabbed his arm. Tyler. You knew your father forged your sister's name? It was complicated. It's a crime, he said quietly. The room exploded. Questions. Arguments. Shock. Anger. And through all of it, I stayed calm. Finally, I raised one hand. Silence returned. I'm not pressing charges, I said. Everyone stared. But I want everyone here to understand 3 things. I held up one finger. I never signed that contract. Second finger. I flew 18 hours for Paige's wedding and was thrown out because my father was afraid I'd discover the truth. Third finger. I will not carry debts that were never mine. My mother started crying harder. Athena, please. No, I said softly. I'm done being the person this family only calls when they need money, signatures, or someone to blame. I gathered my papers. Then I looked around the room one last time. Kindness is not a contract, I said. And family is not a blank check. Then I walked out. Nobody stopped me. Outside, the winter air felt cold and clean. As I reached my car, I heard shouting through the open window. Tyler's voice. You lied to me about the money. You lied about your sister. What else did you lie about? I didn't stay to listen. Dylan came outside a minute later. That took guts, he said quietly. You helped. He shrugged. Most people inside are on your side now. What about Tyler? He says he needs space. I nodded. Then I drove away. Monday morning, while checking out of the hotel, I received the final email from the Whitmore estate. The investigation was complete. The signature did not match mine. The guarantor agreement was officially void. All $38,000 in debt returned to the original contracting parties. Gerald and Donna Sinclair. I stood in the hotel lobby reading the email over and over. Finally, it was over. I owed nothing. 3 days after I returned to London, Paige called. Her voice sounded smaller. We cancelled Bali, she said quietly. Tyler says he can't trust me. I stayed silent. He wants us to use the honeymoon money to help pay the venue. Are you going to? I asked. I think I have to. Then she started crying. Real crying. Not performance. Not manipulation. Just pain. I was wrong, she whispered. Yes, I said gently. You were. How do I fix it? You start by telling the truth. The call ended quietly. No magical ending. No instant forgiveness. Just honesty for the first time. A week later, my father called. The venue was threatening legal action. He had sold the truck. Sold store equipment. Trying to pay the debt. Then he admitted something else. I also signed your name for the table and chair rentals, he said. Another $4,500. I closed my eyes. Dad, I'm not saving you from this. I know, he whispered. Then, for the first time in years, he apologized without excuses. I thought you'd quietly pay, he admitted. Because that's what I've always done, I said. Yes. That honesty hurt more than the forgery. Because he was right. I had spent years quietly cleaning up everyone else's messes. No more. Months passed. Life slowly changed. Gerald and Donna started a payment plan with the venue. My mother got a part-time job at a grocery store. Paige and Tyler entered counseling. The venue chose not to press criminal charges. One afternoon, my mother mailed me a handwritten letter. It said, I'm learning what it means to earn a relationship instead of demanding one. I didn't answer right away. Not because I hated her. Because I was finally learning that I didn't have to rush to fix everything. Back in London, life became quieter. Steadier. I started saying yes to things. Dinner invitations. Weekend trips. Long conversations with people who actually cared about me. For years, I confused independence with isolation. I thought strength meant needing nobody. But Rachel taught me something different. Sometimes strength means letting good people stay. Months later, I finally called Paige again. The conversation was simple. How's work? She asked. Busy. How's Tyler? We're working on things, she said quietly. Then she paused. I'm glad you called. And this time I believed her. Not because everything was fixed. but because for once, there was no hidden agenda underneath the conversation. No request. No manipulation. Just honesty. Now it's spring in London. I still think about that wedding sometimes. The gravel path. The violin music. My father telling me only family was allowed. In a strange way, he was right. The problem was that he forgot what family actually means. Family isn't a performance. It isn't fake wealth. It isn't using someone else's name like it belongs to you. Family is choice. It's Rachel bringing coffee to my hotel room when I almost gave up. It's Dylan sending screenshots because he knew the truth mattered. It's Paige finally speaking honestly after years of pretending. I still keep my passport on the shelf beside my desk. My signature is inside. Clean. Certain. Mine. My name is Athena Sinclair. I live alone in a small flat beside the river. I read contracts for a living. And I finally understand something important. Saying no to what hurts you is also saying yes to yourself. Nobody signs my name but me. And now, finally, that's enough. That's my story. And if this story connected with you, thank you for staying until the end. Maybe you've had to set boundaries with family too. Maybe you've been the person everyone only calls when they need help. Or maybe your story is completely different. Whatever it is, remember this. Your kindness should never cost your identity. And your name belongs to you.